I'm hoping it is not going to be the final game. I'm hoping we are going to go the distance here because we hop into game number 5 with Puppy Paw on the verge of cracking it. Match point in this situation in the best of 7 to see if he can crown himself the champion of Ascending Kingdoms, a custom Civ tournament where you exclusively play 4 civilizations created by the modern community. Wham, in the orange, is going to be playing as the Polish, masquerading as the Order of the Dragon. And Puppy Paw may say Rus, but he's in fact playing as the Scandinavians. Expect a lot of Viking fun time because these boys love raiding.
They certainly do, and we've seen this matchup before. That time, it was Puppy Paw with the Poles and then Wham with the Scandinavians. And in a way, it was a similar map. You had those extremely important pockets of eco that you could leverage, and that has been used by both the Scandinavian and the Pole player. Now, here, the interesting detail is going to be how much those Viking Raiders can pay off, and whether we're indeed going to see the Lubin Town Hall from the Polish player, or maybe we're going to see the build that B used yesterday, the Jagiellonian University, to just buff those initial winged hussars.
Yeah, because you have all these options, folks. Remember, when you play as the Polish, you can pick any one of the landmarks. So far, we have seen the Lublin Town Hall. There's that slower TC. Takes 40 seconds to make a villager. There's a Jagiellonian University that allows you to get Unitex, which sounds OP until you remember how expensive they are and how few units you have. We have yet to see the Tynish Armory. I don't expect that ever to come out because you could only build rams at this stage. And the Fortress is another option that does give you the blacksmiths with a rapid speed of development. It also allows you to get the techs and age early, which I think that is potentially quite an OP landmark.
It's a weird one, right? I feel like that's more suited for Castle Age when you actually have it as a keep. The thing that always intrigued me about the Jagiellonian University, again, was how well it synergizes with your primary go-to unit in Feudal, that is the Winged Hussars. The charge damage, biology probably also being available, and in general, for early mid-game, having those Imperial Age unique decks available is immensely valuable.
Another thing that's kind of interesting in this game is so far, when we've seen Frisian Marshes Poland, and admittedly it's a small sample group, we see them playing out onto the fish straight away. That hasn't happened here, and I think that's for multiple reasons. One reason is I think Wham's worried about the Viking Raiders. Another, though, is look at that depressingly pathetic initial pond for Wham.
Yes, I was about to say that.
It's not a pond, actually. It's a puddle.
Normally, leveraging the Pole's bonus, not having to build drop-off sites, that's the dream scenario, moving out towards the shorefish. And let's not forget, until you're in Dark Age, you can do that and then pull the villagers back if you're afraid of Viking Raiders. But it looks like it's going to be the Lubin Town Hall, and in general, Wham just seems to be ignoring all the shore fishing, which I feel like is a big miss here, because we've seen how oppressive Viking Raiders can be. They will be even more so oppressive if you can mass them like Puppy Paw is able to, with his economy being fueled by shorefish.
Exactly. And, you know, the fact is, right, this is a very targetable base. Yes, Wham has gone for the forward town hall to try and insulate himself in that area, but we've seen Raiders are surprisingly effective at diving. Another thing that is quite vile and volatile with this Civ, we saw it in day number 1 in Kaiser Johan's series, is they build siege weapons so quickly with Raiders, you could basically build them underneath an enemy TC while pushing it. Looks like the scout has revealed what's happening. So I wonder, is Wham going to go for the stable play? Does he try to go Winged Hussars straight away here? We did see that before, but while it did a decent job of holding back, sometimes it does become a little bit of a question mark when you don't have the Unitech that gives you the plus 12 damage for charging.
Yeah, I don't think Winged Hussars are good enough in Feudal with just the base charge attack. They are fine, but they are a little bit more fragile compared to Knights. So at the end of the day, especially against Viking Raiders that are pretty quick and against whom it's a little difficult to do cycle charge, I feel like there's a very big difference between the 29 charge attack versus 41. And without that, it's still an expensive unit that can die very quickly. I think in the first game we saw that basically 2 Viking Raiders can trade off against 1 Winged Hussar very effectively.
It's kind of absurd how quickly you scale them as well, right? Like you mentioned, the Winged Hussars, very expensive, 220 resources. Meanwhile, the Hall of Odin gives a 25% discount. So you pump 2 out for the low price of 164. And they are just as efficient at raiding economy as a Winged Hussar is.
Maybe even better.
I mean, it's the attack speed difference, the bonus damage. Yeah, I'd argue they do a better job than these Hussars do. And that's before we even equate the production speed, like waiting 30 seconds per.
And honestly, I feel like we just go back to that discussion about the shorefish. Just look at the food bank of Puppy Paw. He's got so much food that he has no idea what to do with it. He doesn't even have the wood to make another barracks. He could make a barracks and pay full price for some extra production of Viking Raiders, or he could send a bunch of villagers on gold and be in Costlage in 2 minutes.
So this is why Viking Raiders in the Hall of Odin is balanced Lidicor. You have to double produce, which means you have to build more houses more quickly in the game. They cost wood as well. See, it's a totally reasonable unit. We don't need to cripple. That was hard.
It's actually, they're being used for defense.
Yeah.
So the idea here, especially for Puppy Paw, is that you have so much food with the shorefish that you can easily afford to just defend with this. And at the end of the day, especially with the Lubin Town Hall working at 50% speed only, Wham isn't able to pull ahead in the eco count, and Wham is not taking the shorefish. In fact, Wham is starting to, well, he made a farm for the eco upgrades. Still, it's some investment. I'm actually curious how Puppy is going to follow up this, though. Because now he moved away from the shorefish, but he continues pushing Viking Raiders, and he's not going on to gold. This makes me feel like he just took all the shorefish to bank up a lot of food, and then he's waiting for one decisive push with the Viking Raiders.
Exactly. It's a timing attack, right? Because the other reason why you hang back here is when you're fishing, that's exposed economy that Winged Hussars can kill off. Now you're just playing kind of a more tempo-based game. Look at the eco difference. It's 14 sheep left over for Wham. Meanwhile, it's 25 for Puppy Paw. His economy is going to be safer for longer. Wham is going to realistically reach a point where he has to come out of these ponds. And when he does, he's going to be staring down the barrel of a 30 Viking Raider rush.
I'm just now realizing that the Lubin Town Hall is even tankier than Rutkan Castle. 6.5k HP for an expansion TC is absolutely sick.
Why? I don't know why they need this.
This is a Polish buff though. The base town center is at 9.1.
Yeah, so it's the garrison spots and the health, right? They both get buffed, yeah.
Yeah, but it basically means that you cannot ramp push poles. Like 6.5k HP on an expansion TC.
That explains it.
Good luck with that.
And that explains why Puppy Paw is taking this more defensive approach, right? Bulk up the troops to a point where you can do that. We also, by the way, do have the Blood Axes, so he's ready to trade quite efficiently up against these Winged Hussars. Wow.
And he could still beat his opponent to Costlage here.
Oh, he pinches one. That was sick. Woo!
That's insane cost efficiency. That's 230 resources down the drain here for Wham. And Puppy is on gold with 6. When you see 6 on gold, it's going to be Costlage. Puppy Paw is not only going to have a better army, he's also going to have Costlage, but looks like he lost track of these Winged Hussars for a moment that he's going to get punished for it.
No, that's because he's going for a trade. Yes, a little bit of chip damage is going to be done here, but think about what's happening on the other side of this. 19 of these Viking Raiders are now gunning it for Wham's economy.
And here comes Wolfskins. Big upgrade. Very, very valuable to buff the HP even further.
Outpost being rushed up as well. He's heading over for it. If he goes for the charge right now,
oh no,
this could be big. Goes on in, he plows on through, goes for the stab in, and wham! He's going to lose all the workers. He can't even get the outpost online.
These guys are just nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And the turnaround? I can't, dude. These units are insane. People are going to call nerf, but I'm going to come in on the other angle. I wish more units were like this type of power level. Because, yeah, I come from the Dota 2 land. We always had a saying, everything's overpowered, so nothing is overpowered. Give me this.
I feel like a lot of people forget the fact that this is the play style for the Scandinavians. They are an early game civilization. Sure enough, they have a lot of prowess with the Swedes late game, but to be fair, if anything, I would love to see those changes being made to the Swedes late game and just say, yeah, this is your early game aggro civ. This is not a civilization against whom you can play 2 TCs potentially.
Oh, Wham is now going to try to go for a raid himself, considering the break he's got. However, in a choke point, those charge throughs can be very efficient. So Wham needs to be very careful here. He hasn't exactly got surplus Hussars to throw away carelessly. I think he knows what's coming, though. Puppy Paw is creeping ever closer to that Castle Age trigger.
And when he gets up to Castle Age, I feel like this is a good time to call upon the Danes. Mixing some Huskars along the Viking Raiders, yeah, that's gonna be nasty to stop.
Makes sense as well against Polish, because I think they'd like to play Winged Hussars in the late game as well, and that gives you the pikemen down the line if this somehow turns into an Imperial Age game.
It shouldn't. It really shouldn't.
Now, for those wondering what we're talking about, you don't get spears until you're in Imperial Age and have to have picked Denmark, but the pikes are ludicrously powerful.
Yeah, I think they're actually more powerful than gilded spearmen are in the base game.
It's insane, and they only take 1 pop. But it is going to be Sweden. Uppsala University now on the way. That's not an oopsie of a pick, though. He wants this because now the counter to Winged Hussars is on the way. The backline of musketeers that Puppetpaw can build up will break what Wham is doing.
Puppetpaw is also heavy on the gold. He actually kept like 9 villagers or so on gold, so he is indeed going to go into a couple of musketeers. It's an expensive unit to go for, though, but you have a really good front line for it.
Yeah.
The Viking Raiders themselves are extremely powerful, and when Castle Age kicks in for Puppetpaw, he's going to get... oh, wait, he doesn't even have the Castle Age upgrade for this, right? This
no,
unit does
for the
not
Raiders,
have a Castle Age upgrade.
the Raiders stop upgrading, so that's meant to be part of the balance is, oh no, he's got a lot of Raiders, get out of this age quickly, get a counter age ahead, because they stop scaling at feudal. However, there are some crafty plays around this, and it's why Wham is only building Hussars. With this tech up, we quite often see fieldworks coming in, which allows you to build Mangoes. That's why Wham can't think about going Archers to counter this now. It's Winged Hussars or bust.
A nice little cycle charge here by Wham, and let's not forget, this could be the saving grace here for him. These Viking Raiders are feudal age units, so even though Puppy is in Castle, Wham can continue to try and take fights here. And sure, you're going to have the Musketeers as your backline, but one thing that you don't have here for Puppetpaw right now is the ability to move out without getting raided. Having that mobility advantage is actually huge here for Wham. He is the one who could move out for Fish, because the moment you move out with the Viking Raiders and the Musketeers, the Winged Hussars will just attack the eco.
Wham, quickly cycle charges. He's saving the tech up. So Veterancy will be available to his army, but right now Puppetpaw is building a Castle Age army entirely from scratch in this game. And although it's taken a long time, we are now reaching the point where the Lublin Town Hall can start to take effect. And also, due to the fact that Puppetpaw is so defensive, Wham, when he needs it most, is finally out on these fishing spots.
And this is the weakness that you have of the Scandinavians on an open map like this. Musketeers, they can't really move out, and Viking Raiders, if they ever move out of the base of Puppetpaw here, Wham is going to dive, and now comes the Jagiellonian University. So suddenly, the moment we have Castle Age for Wham, he could have a giga power spike for Winged Hussars. He is going to have the plus 12 attack immediately, he's going to have Veterancy, and he could also go for Biology. And you could actually see him being very heavy on gold, 14 villagers committed to it, because he needs so much gold for these upgrades. But if these guys are upgraded, suddenly the army of Wham is going to be so much better than what Puppetpaw has.
And it makes sense, right? Like, when you've got this many, Biology is definitely worth it, considering that you're going to get a discount 50% on that tech as well. Just a smart read, and Wham proving that although the Scandinavians can be impressive, he is far from out of this game yet.
Yeah, we talked about this, and this is exactly what you highlighted before. Scandinavians, the Viking Raiders feel so busted, but the moment your opponent is able to slow things down and get to Castle Age, you fall off a gigantic cliff with these guys.
It just takes so long to get these Musketeers. Like, you know, they look like broken units, but another big thing to remember, not only that have they got low health, but it's also the fact that they take 40 seconds to produce. And Puppetpaw, as is typical with the way we've seen these Canadians building the Scandinavians, doesn't have a blacksmith. There's no sign of military academy to increase his scale point. Meanwhile, on the other side, Wham is loving life, man. Look at the text getting queued up. Biology is coming in just 15 seconds. On top of that, he could easily get into rapid charge as a follow-up, and it only takes 24 seconds and almost 400 resources to unlock.
And I love how he's vacating this area. He can concede the Lublin Town Hall here because it takes a lot of punishment. It's a very tanky building.
Oh, yes.
And you want to have Biology. Veterancy is in. I still think that he needs the charge buff, though.
I think he can take the fight with the Veterancy, though. It's only, what, 4 of these Musketeers on the front line. Make that 3. Flash comes in. Villagers are going to just shuffle on inside for the defense. Love that target as well. He's targeting down the hand cannoneers with the defense. Hussars now have to come in. The Viking Raiders will not be able to hold this back for long. It's going to be a wipe of the army and a hold for Wham.
This is textbook how to counter Scandinavians, I feel. Constant pressure, just pinning them inside their base with the cavalry. And then getting this power spike, and this fight happened without rapid charge. The upgrade is just now coming in. I think Wham might have this game.
I think this is over. I agree. Like, this is unrecoverable now. Puppy Paw knows it. He calls GG. Wham says not done yet. Second point on the board, and the grand finals continues.